Yankees Blue Jays in the sixth. And I'm not going to go big rip for the whole series here, but we'll go game by game because there's a lot to unpack and a bit of a story we have to tell. Because as much as what happened outside the lines, I guess it was still on the field, was important to this game as what was inside those lines. And we start with game one. Game one was a Yankees classic Cordero to Johnny Brito piggyback start. And it helped that the Yankees put up a nice number in the first. I mean, Judge hits his first bomb home run of the series. More about that later, backed up by Willie Calhoun. Yankees go up a quick 3 runs in the first. Follow that up again with 2 runs in the fifth, and that came. How did that come? Or that in the sixth? 2 runs in the sixth from a Rizzo double. So Yankees go up 5 early. This is where I think Judge hits the homer, or that was in the fourth inning. Judge hits the home run in the sixth or in the seventh, and
Eighth inning.
in the eighth inning. Okay, so that came in the eighth inning to put the Yankees up 7-0. And what's notable about this home run, if you haven't seen this, which I think everyone around baseball has heard this so far, and a quick recap, Aaron Judge was up to bat, and the Blue Jays broadcast caught him when at the plate, peeking to his right, putting his eyes all the way to the right, to be looking in the direction of the Yankees dugout and also the Yankees first base coach. And as they're pointing this out, he does this a few times in the at bat. He takes a hanging slider that doesn't slide middle from Jay Jackson, who is now a Buffalo Blue Jay, into deep center field. As the Blue Jays are talking about it, that creates a whole stir after the game. The implications that has from Judge looking over. Yankees go up 7-0. Blue Jays put up 4 in the bottom of the eighth, make it look close in the box score, closer than it really felt for this whole game. But the game was not the conversation after the game. Do you want to take us through some of that chatter and what was being talked about, what was real, what was all BS?
The Blue Jays are the single most paranoid baseball team I've ever seen. And this comes after the Astros cheating scandal and all of that. Plenty of sign stealing debacles have, been brought to light throughout the years. But this team is just, I think that they're grasping at straws and finding any way to silence Aaron Judge at this point. He was clearly on pitches that were being tipped from the jump. If he was looking somewhere, it would have been legal because how much time does he have to actually look someone in the crowd? So it was something on the field, which means that either someone in the dugout or a first base coach had the signs, which means that they were just projecting them poorly. The catcher's putting down the fingers and numbers or whatever. They're seeing something that gives Aaron Judge and the batters any kind of advantage. That's gamesmanship. That's completely legal. So I don't know what their deal was there. They made a much ado out of about nothing, essentially. Like none of this was necessary. It just brought headaches more than anything, and I think it also awoke the beast within Judge. Like you don't want to piss off Aaron Judge, but man, did they piss him off with their accusations after the game, saying that he was, pretty much looking at signs being stolen. When Judge claims that it was actually him keeping an eye on teammates that were like chirping back at the umpire about, bad calls or something along those lines, which I believe a lot because there was a lot of chatter because of the strike zone throughout that game. And with Judge being a captain, now he has the place where he can actually step in and, make his presence known in the clubhouse, be like, hey, let's tone it down a little bit. It looked like if you watched it again, he is giving a bit of a death glare, like very like subtly, but at the same time, he's trying to, invoke a little bit of, hey, I'm trying to fucking concentrate right here into his teammates. It doesn't look like he's trying to pick up any signs or anything like that. But like I said, even if he was, and even if the Yankees did have something on the Blue Jays, it would have been legal because it's happening in real time on the road. They don't have technology being used. So, like, what's the issue here? Nothing. It's all nothing.
It was such a funny response from Judge, and I respect it for him to have a spin about him being captain. He's like, oh, my guys were chirping. I didn't want them to chirp. I don't think that's true, but that's an awesome spin because the Yankees, like, that's not him trying to deny wrongdoing. That's the Yankees trying to not give one of their biggest rivals with 3 games left to play anything away that they have a tip. The Yankees are not going to tell you, even if it's to get out of wrongdoing, because there is no wrongdoing. It's really silly to think about the Yankees doing anything wrong in this situation. The Yankees are not going to give away that they have a tip because it could be catcher, it could be a bench coach calling a game, which probably isn't happening at the major league level. Or it could be the pitcher. And Jay Jackson, who's now in the minor leagues, came out and said, I know I was tipping. Like, let's get over this. I'm in
Yeah,
the minor leagues because I was throwing bad pitches
it's
and I was
telegraph.
tipping. Yeah,
That's it. Yeah,
he was telegraphing. So as people who maybe didn't grow up playing baseball or playing baseball at a highly competitive level or aren't as in tune with what happens with baseball, I understand the confusion because there's been a lot of confusion with what sign stealing means, and what sign stealing is bad. So, in short, not all sign stealing is bad, is illegal. And the reason there was an issue for the Astros sign stealing is because it was a live technology assisted methodology that happened at home games. So what the Astros did that was wrong was that in live time they took a view of a camera, which is not a player or participant on the field, a live view from a camera that was in center field that can get views of the game that a coach or a player are not allowed to get. They had a live feed going into their dugout, and then someone on the dugout communicated those signs. So the problem with what the Astros did was not getting those signs or not relaying those signs. It was not the fact that
okay.
they did it, but how they got them.
Yeah. Mhm.
So what major leaguers do, and a lot of major leaguers will tell you this, and even I did this at high school level, at certain travel ball levels. Heck, I even try to do it in our men's league levels. If there's a pitcher that throws multiple pitches and there's a call from the bench or there's a catcher set up or something, if you're on the bench, your job, if you're not playing in the game, is to try and mine any information that can be helpful. And what the Yankees found, someone on the Yankees bench, I think, whether that be a coach or a player, found something that a player was doing in plain sight that a player or a pitcher could see that was giving away the pitch. That might have been harder to see at the plate when you're trying to focus on different things. So, what could have happened is that the Yankees put out like a helmet or a bat on the dugout bench or something to show Judge that a slider was coming. Now, in this instance, Jay Jackson threw 6 sliders in a row and hung one that spun, and Aaron Judge hits that ball as a home run 6 or 7 out of 10 times, honestly, without knowing the sign. It was the fact that he hit a 500 feet helped, I'm sure, with the sign. But that's all fair game. That's part of gamesmanship because that is information that is readily available on the field at your own risk. That's why fielders and stuff like the pitch comp technology now, because runners on the bases were picking up finger signs, picking up body signs. But when you're looking on the field at your own risk, like it's all what's available. I spoke to my work colleagues about this for about 20 minutes on a Tuesday morning in our morning meeting because all they heard was headline Aaron Judge cheating question mark,
It's
which
so
is
stupid, man.
yeah.
It's stupid.
So what I compared it to is imagine you're at a poker table, and this is high level poker. When you're playing with your friends and someone's bleeding cards, okay, yeah, you're not going to look or you're going to tell them to put it away. But when you're competing for real money, pro poker players are going to know to conceal their cards. You're
Yeah.
not allowed to go peek over shoulders, but if someone shows their cards and you can look like this and see what they have, that's fair game. What's not fair game is if Aaron Judge looked into the catcher's hand or if you had a camera over the shoulder of someone to see their cards.
Yeah.
Like that's where it goes beyond the sport of gamesmanship. But when someone has a duty to communicate, has important information, it's their duty on the field to, within the lines of the game, to conceal that information. Because otherwise, pitchers should call their game and they have the pitch calm, like anything that's giving it away. And I think Jay Jackson just had a tip, not on what was being called, but on what he was throwing with his glove flaring.
Yeah.
That's the standard tip for off-speed pitches. So that's what it is. It's a whole lot of nothing. And obviously we're Yankees biased, but this is what happens. And this is how we would defend any team. Like a lot of teams have had tips that have come up this year, and I think that's awesome gamesmanship. Like the Astros crossed the line because they used illegal technology that was explicitly, or they said it wasn't explicitly, but that is definitely
They should
illegal.
have. They put a camera in center field and then had a fucking TV monitor in the like clubhouse. Like that
Yeah.
is so illegal. I mean, the Yankees are just using eye test, and if you can use your eyes to figure something out, then you should absolutely be doing that. So it's just like absurd. And then on top of that, they have the whole debacle with the third base coaches. Um, like the Blue Jays called out Luis Rojas for not being in the third base box, and which managers or which first base and third base coaches are actually in there throughout the entirety of a game. Barely any in every baseball game ever. So that's just a whole new level of paranoia on top of that. And then I loved the way that Boone chirped back at them in game two, where he was like, "Hey, where the fuck is your guy in the box right now? Like, get back in there." Um, you can't have it both ways. If you're going to critique one team, the opposing team, about being in abiding by a stupid rule that no one really follows, you better be fucking abiding by that rule in the first place, and you better double down on it and make sure that you're in the box, or else you look like an idiot. And I kind of like, even though we're Yankees fans, I feel like that was objectively an idiotic move.
This game too was wild because I understand the Jays being paranoid if they think that the Yankees coaches are going out and getting an explicit advantage. But if you look at in soccer, they uh they put out maps after games of players' positioning where it basically takes the mean position of every place they were on the field. So obviously you're going to go up and down the field, but like where your base position was, and they use it sometimes to show teams that have really good formations, and then like everyone kind of just runs all over the place like a 4-year-old soccer game. Um, if you were to mine the average location of third base and first base coaches in all of baseball, it would be exactly where Luis Rojas was standing. It would be exactly where both Toronto base coaches were standing because they don't want to get murdered by 115-mile-an-hour line drives coming at minimum 45-year-old men from 70 feet away at third base. Like you and these guys have to look at pitchers, they have to look at fielders. They're not always looking straight at the hitter. And having helmets is a new phenomenon. Like, so no one was doing anything wrong. It was a I don't like John Schneider. I mean, I don't like the Blue Jays. Obviously, we're super biased in that sense, but they don't give us any reason to. They've been such immature assholes. I mean, there's debate on whether John Schneider was chirping at the Yankees bench and saying "shut up, fat boy" or "shut up, frat boy."
I'm pretty sure it was confirmed Fat Boy, and it
Confirmed
was,
fat boy.
yeah,
Frat boy is like kind of funny and still super immature.
yeah,
Fat boy is like unacceptable from like a 50-year-old man.
that's offensive. Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
and it's like how like literally I would go and I find myself saying this way too much for a 23-year-old, but being like, how old are you? Like what? This isn't the sixth grade playground. I don't know. It's wild. And also going to these Yankees coaches, all of them who are in like awesome athletic shape, especially for older adult men. It's like, what are you, John Schneider, like pot and kettle, like
Yeah,
not to body shame anybody, but like
everyone to freaking talk. Yeah,
what leg do you have to stand on here? Like why you're talking about baseball coaches that are notoriously kind of just like slobs in these massive jerseys.
you don't
I
see
don't
them
know.
insulting Alek Manoah every game that they play him because of
Yeah.
his size. They insult
Because
him because
Alek Manoah is an awesome athlete and is generally
exactly
except for this year really good at what he does. So it doesn't matter what his body fucking looks like. I don't know.
insult him
I
on
don't
his
understand how a leader of
performance.
men can stoop to that level. Like it's such a childish
Yeah.
game.